in projects, we need to talk about task relationship. Now, we have declared tasks and we have actually put the duration and the start and finish dates. Now, we need to know what tasks to be done after each other. Some tasks can be done simultaneously, some tasks have to depend on other ones. So if we talk about link dependency, it means we have a task that depend on each other. It means there's a successor for every predecessor. In that note, that means there should be a relationship. There are some tasks that as we are doing this, we can also be doing the other one. And there are some tasks that if you don't finish this, you won't finish the other one. So let's take out this table and look at it. Now, let's say we have this task relationship when we have the four major categories or major types. We have finish to start, means FS. This means the finish date of the predecessor task determines the start date of the successor task. As we have seen in the design and development of application. Look at this in the Gantt chart. If you look at this, you will have the Gantt chart like this, pointing from the finish, pointing to the start of the other task. For example, we have a book chapter must be written before it can be edited, which is, if you don't write a book chapter, you can actually not edit anything. So, edition depends on writing. The next category is start to start. We call it SS. Start to start task is the start date of the predecessor task determines the start date of the successor task. Means that we can have a task that as we start, it will initiate or prompt the start of the other task. We can have this kind of look in a Gantt chart. For example, we have ordering prepress and ordering paper are closely related and they could or should simultaneously start at the same time. They could be done at the same time. Meaning that I can have order a prepress and I can be buying paper for the printing at the same time. Another example is I can create a page 1, I can be creating page 2. Maybe the task to create page 1 or about page and the contact page are done by different programmers. So we can start at the same time. Now the third category is finish to finish. We call it FF. The finish date of the predecessor task determines the finish date of the successor task. Means that the predecessor has a finish and the successor has a finish. So the predecessor will determine when the successor will finish. For example, tasks that require specific equipment must end when the equipment rental period ends. For example, we said we have, for example, another example is maybe in the when we are designing an application. If we finish the home page, we can also finish the main body of the application. So that way we can actually link two tasks together, finish to finish. So they finish at the same time. Means if you are working on a construction project, for example, we are flooring. If you're doing flooring and at the same time as we floor, we pour the concrete and the concrete is going on, we also level it. Different person is doing it. The machine is pouring the concrete and the roller is leveling. So they finish at the same time. So no one is waiting for each other. The last one is start to finish. The start date of the predecessor task determines the finish date of the successor task. Look at it. It's somehow impossible, but it's possible. When we have this example, the time when the print run is scheduled determines when a binder selection task must end. Right? So in this way, we can have different examples, but the truth is, as a project manager, what you need to do is to know which task is depending on each other. What's the relationship between one task and the other task? Is it start to start? Is it start to finish? Is it finish to start? Or is it finish to finish? In that way, you can create a relationship with your tasks. Even though when you are finished in the summary task of one, you can continue the summary task on the other one. Especially when we're dealing with sub tasks and tasks under the summary task.